Whenever I tell people that American Psycho is one of my favorite movies, I always have to do it with some caution. The fan base this film has built up over the last few years is hilarious, knowing what the movie is actually about. American Psycho is a satire of 80s yuppie culture, and through the film's protagonist Patrick Bateman, it shows the sad, materialistic, superficial lifestyle wrapped around a thin veil of hard work and success. Faux morals, personalities, and relationships, all for the characters of this film to keep up their facades. Yet this film has become the face of new age masculinity, Patrick Bateman being praised as a character you should aspire to be like. Its empty lifestyle is praised as successful and fulfilling. American Psycho is a satire so good, it's become everything it was satirizing. Despite being nowhere near as famous as he is now, Christian Bale actually almost turned down the role of Patrick Bateman for this exact reason.
When there still was the Wall Street trading floors and everything, I went and visited, all different levels of people at Wall Street, but the guys on the trading floor, when I arrived there before making the film, I got there and a bunch of them, they were going, "Oh, Patrick Bateman," and patting me on the back and going, "Oh yeah, we love him." And I was like, "Yeah, ironically, right?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" So it was always worrying.
How could someone look at someone like Bateman, a person who embodies the worst of human ego, capitalism, and Western philosophy, and feel connected to the character? And also notice how up until this point I haven't even mentioned that Bateman is a fucking serial killer. The film paints Bateman as a loser when you see past the mask he puts on every morning with his meticulous morning routine. And when he goes to work, he's surrounded by people who are the exact same. The movie doesn't hide that Bateman is seen as lower than by his coworkers.
Evelyn Williams.
Evelyn. Great ass. Goes out with that loser Patrick Bateman. What a dork.
Another martini, Paul.
They simply just don't respect him. He's the loser of losers. At this point, the question of how can anyone look up to this guy spun around my head hundreds of times, until I looked at the film's poster. Killer looks. I see. People are superficial, to a hilarious degree. This guy's a killer, a loser, a misogynist.
You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death, then play around with your blood.
An adulterer, and worst of all, he's a closeted homosexual. It's a joke, I'm kidding. But despite a laundry list of red flags spanning the Great Wall of China, people only see what you can see in a TikTok edit. And what does that say about us if we've let Bateman win? It sounds stupid because he's a fictional character, but seriously, Bateman spends the whole movie trying to get people to see past the mask he puts on, and he's done it. So what about Patrick Bateman makes young men across the world so attracted to the face he puts on? Why is this the face of new age masculinity? Is this what you think masculinity is? A fake personality, hobbies, relationships, interactions, an unhealthy amount of comparison, all for what you think is success? Okay, well, just indulge in me for a second. I'm just gonna ask you to take this idea of masculinity and just
Let go!
Fight Club is a great movie, and an even better book. I would suggest anything written by Chuck Palahniuk. However, it's unfortunately fallen for American Psycho syndrome. I'm coining that now. As the years move on, Fight Club has become a perfect warning shot for modern red pill communities. By the way, the term red pill comes from The Matrix, which is another film that could fit this topic exactly. The film tells a story of an unnamed protagonist who is unfulfilled with Western materialism. His quote-unquote good job makes him feel like a robotic zombie. The few social interactions he has are packaged, forced, and superficial as everything else in his life. His only hobby is buying shit from IKEA, faking diseases at group therapy sessions to feel anything, and wallowing in his hatred for his life, yet never doing anything about it, until someone does it for him.
Please ask a flight attendant to reseat you.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Want to switch seats?
Tyler Durden. Our protagonist meets him in the same way he meets most people. He sat next to him on one of his routine flights. Yet something about Tyler stood out. He was the opposite of our protagonist. He sees through the bullshit of the Western world.
You know why they put oxygen masks on planes?
So you can breathe.
Oxygen gets you high. In a catastrophic emergency, you're taking giant panic breaths. Suddenly you become euphoric, docile. You accept your fate.
He openly opposes all the things our protagonist hates in his head. Tyler sees through our protagonist's mask.
Okay.
You have a kind of sick desperation in your laugh.
And in some mysterious way, he talks to our protagonist's deepest desire.
Did you know if you mixed equal parts of gasoline and frozen orange juice concentrate, you can make napalm?
No, I did not know that. Is that true?
That's right.
The protagonist finally sees the person he wants to be like, but Tyler is only a single-serving friend, and so he must move on with his unfulfilling life to his unfulfilling apartment. His house burned down, and all the materialistic efforts he put into his IKEA couches, shelves, desks, and more were destroyed. And now our protagonist has nothing, because all he had was his possessions. Now at complete rock bottom, our protagonist calls Tyler from a payphone, and gets no response. Until... According to Tyler, rock bottom is never rock bottom, but only the path to enlightenment stifled by Western society's obsession with lifestyle. Tyler is the quite literal opposite of the previously mentioned Patrick Bateman. Yet as the film continues, we see that they aren't as different as they picture themselves to be. As the film progresses, as the Fight Club becomes more of a success throughout the country, we see that Tyler is no longer using the club to give the socially disenfranchised the path to fulfillment, but in fact is no better than the superficial system he felt was disenfranchising these men. While Tyler spits on the lifestyle Bateman lives, with almost no individuality and a slavery to material wants, he creates the Fight Club, which through its Project Mayhem becomes a terrorist group. Because Fight Club and Tyler Durden are based on the Unabomber, something I don't see many people talk about online. This terrorist group's sole goal is to break down Western civilization from the ground, giving a factory reset to the Western world in hopes of creating a better society. But through this, the members of Fight Club become the same personality-less work zombies they were before.
Bury him. What? Take him to the garden and bury him.
Come on, people! Let's go! What are you talking about? This isn't a fucking piece of evidence. This is a person. He's a friend of mine, and you're not gonna bury him in the fucking garden.
He was killed serving Project Mayhem, sir.
This is Bob.
But sir, in Project Mayhem, we have no names.
No, you listen to me. This is a man, and he has a name. It's Robert Paulson, okay?
Robert Paulson.
He's a man, and he's dead now because of us. All right, you understand that?
But now from a different master, who tells them they're breaking out of the mental prison Western society has put them in. Sounds familiar?
Being brainwashed, yo. Yo, a lot of you need to wake up. Wake up!
That's a lifetime of slave work without spending a penny ever once. The Matrix must be cracked, and there's other ways to make money than nothing fucking.
You are a slave. You are a slave who's still totally connected to the Matrix. When you download the app from the App Store, you don't pay anything, do you? Instead, what you pay for, or what you pay with, is your life.
It's time to stop scrolling and start monetizing.
Next to a Porsche. No, you've never seen any of this. I know how to make cash. We're gonna cut the garbage, cut the bullshit. No gender studies, no wasting time. Straight to the point. How do you make money today?
I'm telling you, man, these red pill people do not have your best interest in mind. They're telling you that you're escaping the Matrix, but in reality, you're just going from one master to the other, except now you have a massive inflated ego that tells you you're better than all the normies stuck in the regular world. Well, frankly, if you are one of these dudes and you're watching this video, I'd very much rather be a slave to capitalism than to Sneeko or a ring of Romanian sex traffickers. And what's funny is most of these intellectuals who have broken out of the Western trap, like they're the fucking Ubermensch, use Fight Club as an example of a piece of art that spreads their message.
Fight Club? Chad, have you seen Fight Club? It's about the spiritual warfare that's going on, and it came out in 1999 and talks about how the Matrix is controlling people and how there's really a war on men going on. They start to get some life back in their face. Look at how more alive he looks based on the beginning of the movie.
Then becomes political.
Look at that guy's alive! Even with this big ass fucking testicular cancer fucking titties, shit lactating out of his shirt. Look at that! Ah!
They're fucking spelling it out for you, and yet people don't question it twice, because they're superficial and only look at things on a surface level view. If you feel alienated by Western culture, and then there are these two movie characters that actively tell you how to be fulfilled in our world, they'll look up to them despite the fact that A, their views are completely contradictory, and B, one of them is a fucking serial killer and the other one is a terrorist. They just see two hot guys with big muscles, women, power, and money, and frankly, that's what they want. It's what they want. They want to be Tyler Durden and Patrick Bateman, because they have what they don't have. But they're not willing to look any deeper than that and realize that frankly, Bateman's a loser and Durden is a hypocritical criminal who is, by the way, a figment of imagination of an incredibly mentally ill man who does everything to get rid of Durden upon breaking out of his mental breakdown. So if you're one of these guys looking up to these characters, first of all, you're dumb as fuck. And second of all, you're kinda gay. That's a joke, obviously, but everyone wants to be good-looking, rich, powerful, and have an access of social gratification. But if you genuinely are looking at these characters as idols for self-improvement, well, in the words of your king Tyler Durden,
Self-improvement is masturbation.
and that's fine, self-improvement is totally okay, and despite what your red pill overlords think, metaphorically, or literally, jerking off every once in a while isn't a bad thing. It just needs to be diluted with a heavy dose of critical thinking, and most importantly, thinking for yourself. Because if Fight Club has taught you anything, If you don't think for yourself, someone else will, and you'll just become a slave to their word.